Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about why you overthink even when nothing is actually wrong in your relationship. And this is going to be a great episode for you if things are really good when you're together, it feels safe, and you have a strong connection. But the moment you maybe go back to your normal lives, there starts to feel like a little bit of distance. That distance feels really bad. Your anxiety starts to spike. You start to overthink. And logically, you know that nothing is wrong. Technically, nothing is wrong. But at the same time, you just feel like your anxiety is through the roof. The problem with that is that it's really exhausting, okay? When we are in that mode of our anxiety's up and we're overthinking, it costs so many brain calories. And it's also just so exhausting to constantly be on red alert. It made me think about we have these cameras for the outside, for the intruders, the criminals on the statistics, that when you have a blink camera or some kind of outside camera, any kind of movement that turns the camera on, it drains the battery, right? The more that sensitive that camera is, that more sensitive that red alert system is, it actually drains the battery, right? So I know that if you are constantly overthinking, you are feeling really drained. It's taking up a lot of brain space. You're less productive at work, and you're just not enjoying life the way that you should. So I am really excited to dive into that. And if you are brand new here, my name is Claire. I'm a relationship coach. I love helping high achieving, high performing girlies. Maybe you're killing it in the corporate ladder. You are an entrepreneur. You have real estate or multiple doors, or maybe you're a nerd and you're an academic and you've got some letters behind your name. And while you might be really crushing it in your career and you've got the receipts and the resume to show that, you are not feeling that inside your relationship. That high achieving, high performing goal getter is not the same way that you feel in relationship. You feel really just kind of anxious all the time. And if you're worrying what you're doing wrong or what could be better, then you're in the right spot. So really excited to dive into today. And I was actually thinking about this topic and just like a little update that we are going to the Philippines. Craig and I are going to the Philippines to celebrate my mom's 80th. And I did get the gumption and the opportunity presented itself where we're actually going to see my dad. And it's going to be the first time that Craig is meeting my dad. And the thing that immediately kind of came up for me as I'm going over these logistics with my aunt that lives there and getting reservations to the place that my aunt lives, because really I'm actually going there to see my aunt and my uncle, and dad happens to be their siblings. So I figured, why not? Two birds, one scone. And what immediately I started noticing for me was this worry about, okay, well, I don't want to spend too long with him, and I've got to kind of make sure that I set some boundaries, and I want to make sure, well, what if I'm overwhelmed within the first day or 24 hours, and really kind of noticed myself feeling this activation of, ooh, I want to protect myself. I don't want to expose myself and be vulnerable, and I just feel out of control. And the impulse that I started to go into that I noticed and I was able to stop was this urge to control the situation, right? Like I've got to tell my aunt, to tell my dad that we can't meet at this date, and really try to kind of micromanage this experience when in reality, this is my aunt's house. We're going to be staying at this beautiful resort near her, and really she's kind of allowed to have whoever she wants at her house. And when I started to notice my inner control freak start to become my outer control freak and really get amped up around the logistics and the timing, and just really figure it out and get our schedule straight, which to be honest, felt and feels really familiar to when I would feel really activated or unsure with Craig. I really felt that I needed to get our schedules aligned. I wanted to know his calendar and all these things, and make sure that we had our set date time together and our weekends, because we lived long distance-ish, right? So to me, it felt like, if I just know his calendar and I can just get things on the schedule, then I'll feel safe. And so I recognized this very familiar pattern inside me of I really need to figure out and get control and get the schedule. And what I realized and what I was able to really apply was that figuring out what to do and like getting the plan and knowing what to expect, that is not something that my mind and what kind of this pattern inside me is, it's used to kind of doing that. And in reality, I looked at that and I said, actually, if I can really look at what I'm scared of, which is just feeling like my dad has all the control or I'm this little girl again, the reality hit me that actually I trust myself. I trust myself that no matter what happens, that if I feel uncomfortable, I actually really freaking trust myself to walk away, to say, actually, I'm really good. I'm gonna, like, this is enough for me right now. And when I settled into that feeling that I have practiced to the T of my own self-trust, and this is something that I teach my one-on-one clients so in depth, when I really felt this thing that I have spent so much time and energy feeling in my body and practicing, I was like, oh, well, then actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we meet for 2 days straight. I actually really trust myself. And it was such a powerful reminder of me of trying to figure it out and getting caught up and getting into this pattern of overthinking. The solution isn't to figure it out more. It's actually in going back into this felt practiced sense of what it's like to trust myself. And I can tell you right now, and I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I feel so solid in that I actually know that in my body where I can, if I need to set a boundary, I can. And I'm going to go in there, and this might be, I don't know, one of the last times I ever see my dad. And I mean, he's not getting any younger. I think he is 82. So I feel really solid that actually I trust myself to show up the way that I need to and to feel in my body when I'm good. So I just felt that was important to share. And I think it's really relevant to what we're talking about today, which is overthinking even when nothing is wrong. And arguably, I could say that with my dad, nothing is wrong. Like, actually, this is like a great opportunity. Craig gets to meet somebody that is a huge part of my life when I was growing up and is a real factor in who he is married to and how we attach. So something that I was really considering as I was thinking about this episode and what I want to share with you is, so what's really going on when you're overthinking and nothing is actually wrong, right? So this can be, I'm thinking about a client recently whose partner went on a business trip, right? And there's this pattern, she had this really clear pattern of wanting to get their schedule and like wanting to make sure we know when to text and wanting to really just get all these pieces laid out so she felt really safe. And what I noticed happens is that she was kind of making up fake scenarios. Like there's these thoughts that she would have around, oh my gosh, what if he meets somebody at this happy hour thing that they have to go to? And it is this pattern of really making up stuff, right? Like, oh, they're going to meet somebody at a happy hour. Well, yes, it's called a meet and greet, right? And another kind of thing that you might be experiencing too is feeling like this absolute need to figure something out, whether that's, so for example, with that client, okay, I need to figure out when they leave the dinner, who's going to be there, what coworkers, right? Really trying to, I call it like scheming, really trying to get granular and figure out what's going to happen. And the thing that I noticed that can happen is that we get really kind of controlling around, I need you to text me at this time, right? Or this behavior of actually not even communicating around expectations during the weekend. And I notice that there can be a lot of resentment or like feeling like there's this behavior of holding back, like really not actually communicating because you want to see and test them. You want to test, ooh, if they reach out to me, that means X, Y, Z. And so there's a bunch of loops that we can kind of get sucked into. Like we hold back. It's kind of ironic. And I've noticed this with my clients recently, where there's a lot of realizations that actually, when anxious attachment is really activated, it can actually present as very avoidant. And so there's like this fluctuation between really wanting to know what's going on, really trying to get a handle of the schedule, of the communication, and also like really massively pulling back because you want to see what they're up to, right? And the irony of this is that it's so impactful and not in a good way in the relationship, right? Because let's just go one way. You are constantly trying to get them on the phone. You're kind of putting this pressure on them while they're away. And I'm imagining on this business trip, when I'm on a business trip, I'm on business. Like I have to focus, right? I don't want to be distracted. I'm trying to meet and greet and shake hands and get the learning or whatever it is. Or so that's like takes away from that purpose, right? They're trying to further their career or whatever. Or in another way that it can really be negatively impactful on the relationship is not actually being authentic, right? We're actually testing in the relationship because we don't want to ask, or we don't feel good about communicating. We don't have the tools, or we don't know how to actually convey our true feelings. And so we come across as, or the situation is inauthentic because we're pretending, we're playing a little unintentional game with not actually saying how we feel by pulling back. And this is a common through line that I see with anxious attachment, is that this kind of behavior is very much like a compulsion. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly, right? Where you feel it's like absolutely necessary to text them for, 5 times in a row, or you feel absolutely necessary and justified that you need to get the schedule. You feel very much like it has to happen, and I have to know what's going on with what time you're going to call, right? Or it's going to show up with the holding back of, like with the piece here where you test them and you're holding back that information. It feels like you are just trying to test them. There's no other, I know there's something deeper here, and the words are escaping right now, but it really does feel like a test. And when we're kind of in that mode and it just feels like you can't help it. Like you want to ask, you want to say what you want to ask for what you need, but you literally, it's like a frog in your throat. You're just not able to do it. The whole piece around this feeling like a compulsion, it's very much like an addiction. And I was thinking about this, how this relates to, for example, gambling. Gambling isn't, when you gamble, I personally hate gambling, but those of you who see gambling or like gambling isn't because you win all the time. The house wouldn't be able to operate if you were winning all the time. The psychology behind gambling is the reward is intermittent. It's not a predictable win, right? Because if we knew that we pull full times the tab and a bunch of money comes out, well, then that's not gambling, right? That's certainty. So the way that gambling works, and this is why it becomes so compulsive, you're seeking and pulling the lever to see if you're going to get $5. And the reason why this is so similar to anxious attachment is it's actually not about you getting the reassurance. It's actually acting like a compulsion. And the more that you kind of feed the compulsion, the more that you are pulling back and seeing if they're going to text you, or I need 5 texts this weekend and I'll feel safe. That actually ironically feeds the compulsion, right? It's like saying in gambling, I just need 5 more bets and then I'll make my quota, right? That actually enhances the urge and the compulsion to gamble. And this is something that I just know for sure in myself, and I see this with my clients, but this is also what's so infuriating when you're smart, when you're an overachiever, when you have a lot of intelligence, that you try to maybe think your way through the compulsion, or you try to set up some hard rules for yourself. So like I noticed with high achievers, you know how to get goals. So you tend to be really firm with yourself. But to me, it's almost like the gambler that's like, okay, if I can just break even, then it's a win, right? These kind of hard rules actually feed the compulsion even more. And so this is an also important piece where you can't force yourself through healing a compulsion. That doesn't work, right? And when we are forcing ourselves to get through the compulsion, the irony is that it actually makes it worse. And that's literally, when it comes to that feeling of compulsion, that's literally what I practice and what I guide my clients through, because it's you just can't think your way out of compulsion. All right. So I am really excited about the path of our podcast, because next week, we're going to go into this even more and talk more about, okay, what's really going on and kind of tying things together. So really excited. Tune in next week. I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah.